Hello everyone. Welcome to Facebook Live here at the Coffee Flour Lab. I have Erin running to join me.
Hi, I'm playing camera person again. It's first to give a shout out to Susie, who's at home, who's usually behind the camera. Hey Susie, look, we were able to do it. You were saying?
Oh, just welcome to the Coffee Flour Lab here in Seattle. It's a smoky day here with all these wildfires, but hopefully the air clears a little bit. In lieu of the smoke, this has nothing to do with it, we're going to make biscuits.
Biscuits. Very excited about biscuits. It's one of those things, it's actually the first thing that I ever learned how to make with my grandma when I was just a wee one. So I'm very excited to do this. This is a great one. I know we talk about doing things with the kiddos a lot. This is a really great one to do with the kids. It's so simple. They get to get in there and get their hands all in the mix, and it's fun for them to, you know, roll out the dough or press it out and actually cut the biscuits themselves.
So you can increase their fun while getting in the kitchen, which is really important.
Yeah.
But we're adding nutrition to the biscuit that's not typically there. I mean, usually you have your bleached white flour and your shortening. By adding coffee cherry flour, which, quick reminder of what it is, coffee comes in a fruit that looks similar to cherries or cranberries. The green bean goes one way, the discarded fruit goes another. We're taking that discarded fruit, we're drying and stabilizing it, and then grinding it into our regular grind, which is similar to cocoa powder in consistency, and then our coarse grind, which works great in baked goods, beverages, and a whole slew of other opportunities.
Indeed. And as we said, biscuits. Everybody loves a biscuit. And they're not only easy, but super versatile. Obviously, a breakfast biscuit goes really well. But at a fried chicken dinner, but everything in between. So I'm going to do the standard biscuit, and then Chelsea's going to kind of take us through how to do it as a dessert item.
And then a couple of accoutrements, just for fun.
Fancy word. Check you out. What I did forget to grab was a bowl, so we happen to have those handy. Again, super easy, no special equipment needed. Just a mixing bowl here. This is just all a hand mix. One important thing that I want to mention is this is something that you don't want to overmix, so I don't recommend doing it on a stand mixer because it will overmix. Get your hands in there. Get your kids' hands in there. It's just making sure that the ingredients are combined, and that's where you stop. So in a bowl, we are doing 225 grams of all-purpose flour. Boom. We're doing 11 grams of baking powder. Not baking soda, but baking powder. That goes in.
Is that about a tablespoon and a half-ish?
Ish. Yeah.
Get a scale. It's really worth it. They're inexpensive.
And this recipe is also already up on our Facebook page. It was put up a few days ago, and we got some really great response, which is why we're showing you how to do it today. 2 grams of salt, that goes in. So far, all of our ingredients are very white, including the shortening. People will go, shortening, I thought we weren't supposed to use it. There is a time and a place for shortening. Biscuits are that time and that place. So shortening goes in, and that's 85 grams of shortening.
We've done it with butter. It works. Our fluffy, I think the best results so far have been with shortening.
Shortening. Yeah. I'm just saying shortening. Do it with shortening.
Yeah.
Also, a very important ingredient in biscuits is buttermilk. That's where that fat's coming with the shortening, and it's very important that you do use buttermilk for the best flavor and the best texture. I just think it should be law. That's just me, though.
I can get on board.
So 175 milliliters of buttermilk. So far, all of our ingredients, as I said, have been this milky white. This is where we're going to go off the rails a little bit, and this is where the coffee flour comes in. As Chelsea mentioned, we do have 2 different grind profiles of coffee flour. You've seen us use both the regular, which is the cocoa powder texture, and the coarse, which is more the flake. It's more like the tea. In the biscuits, we're going to use coarse. We have done them both ways, both with the regular and with the coarse. The coarse just works better. They're so good. The visual is really great, and the regular tends to make them a little dense. And that's not what you want in a biscuit. You want light and fluffy. So stick with the coarse. If you want to kind of experiment on your own, you could do a combination of the regular and the coarse, but I would stray to the heavier on the coarse side. So 23 grams of coarse coffee flour. And this is where the good part starts. Gloved hand, and you just get in there and you mash it all together.
Mash it up. So by adding this coffee flour, you're increasing your antioxidant levels. You're adding fiber to a biscuit, which generally doesn't have any fiber in it whatsoever. You're just bringing out a really nice flavor that is complemented by butter or honey or jam, and I'll talk about that a little bit when it comes to my side. If you're looking for coffee cherry flour, nuts.com, Trader Joe's carried it for a while. That version you can find on Amazon at times.
Mark's Pantry.
Absolutely, Mark's Pantry. If you're
And
not
M-A-R-X. I want to point that out.
if you don't see it at your grocery store, request it. The more people who are asking for it, the higher the chance they are going to start carrying it. And we are seeing more and more people carry it, which we appreciate. But again, let's make that demand known and out there.
That's it. That's all I did.
They've come together.
So with the coffee flour in there, we've talked about how it is high in fiber and it does need to hydrate. So normally I would let this sit for about half an hour at room temperature just so the particles that the coffee flour adds to it have a chance to hydrate. I'm not going to do that right now because nobody wants to just sit there and stare for half an hour at this hydrating. But what I am going to do is pretend that this sat for half an hour. I am going to sprinkle some flour onto a board. Okay. Hopefully we have all had this experience growing up at some point. Something very satisfying about this. Put that down, flip it over. It is a little bit sticky. That's okay.
Yeah, we've increased the moisture slightly because of the coffee cherry flour. We've talked about that.
Interestingly enough, in this one I didn't.
Oh, you didn't?
I didn't. I left the recipe the same except for swapping out some of the AP flour.
All right.
That's how easy this recipe is. And I think a lot of it is because of the buttermilk and the shortening combined have so much fat that they add that, you know, it's a tender, light, fluffy biscuit anyway.
All right. So keep it flaky.
Yep, keep it flaky. So all I'm doing, you can use a rolling pin for this. I'm going to flour my hands a little bit. You can use a rolling pin for this, but why would you?
You don't need to.
You don't need to. Just press it out with your hands.
Use your hands.
You know, if it does get a little sticky, just put some flour on your hands, press it out. This really is kind of a foolproof recipe.
Yeah, and you don't want to overwork it, like Erin had said. So once it's there, it's there.
It's there.
Yeah.
Yep. So I would say this is probably half an inch thick-ish. There's a big thing out there. You can go out and buy every special tool in the world. One of the special tools is a biscuit cutter. If you have one, go ahead, use it. But because this is the first thing that I ever learned how to make with my grandma, I'm going to go old school the way she taught me, and I'm going to use an inverted glass. It's the perfect size, and it's kind of a shout out to all the grandmas there. So all you do, press it down. If you do find it sticking to your glass a little bit, you can dip the rim of the glass in flour, but it's that simple.
Let me bring this to you.
Thank you. Throwing them on a parchment-lined sheet pan. If you don't have parchment, that's fine. Don't grease your sheet pan. There's enough fat in here in these little guys that they're not going to stick to the surface of your pan, which is great. So once you get the biscuits cut out and you've got these scraps, all you do is repeat the process.
Gently
Press
push
it out.
together.
I can feel that that's a little sticky, so I'm just going to rub some flour on there on the surface, and you just keep doing that, repeating the process. Then, for the most beautiful, delicious biscuits, of course, you want to do a wash on them. I am doing a combination of egg and cream. We were speaking earlier about which is best. Yep. Some people do egg wash, some people do a cream wash. I do a combination.
I like the sheen that the cream adds when you mix it with the egg.
Yeah, I do too. I think it just makes a prettier biscuit.
Nice and shiny.
Nice and shiny. So I have my oven preheated to 450. This is a high temperature item, high temp, quick bake. It's going to make them puff up. I'm going to throw these in. I happen to have some that, ooh, look at those.
They're beautiful.
That I threw in right before we started here. So I'm going to swap out here.
Yeah. These we can let while I talk, unless
Let's show them.
pretty good.
Yeah, let's show them.
All right.
Do you want to swap sides or?
Nope.
Okay,
Alright,
you're
good
working
here.
there.
I'll just put this there so they can see
Yeah.
how beautiful and high that
Look
lift
at that.
had.
They're hot, so I'm going to be careful. I'm
Alright.
grabbing hot things even knowing that they're hot. But look how light and fluffy those are. Perfect.
with the same biscuit recipe, we were thinking blackberry cobbler. So coffee cherry flour is amazing with blackberries. So I'm going to do a very simple recipe that you can make with your kids, same dough. I have some washed blackberries, just a pint. I'm going to put a pinch of salt, about, I don't know, I'm eyeballing, so I'd say a teaspoon or so of white sugar, and then some of our regular grind coffee cherry flour, and I'll put about half a teaspoon or so in. You don't need to put flour or cornstarch or any other thickener. You could leave it like this. Mix that up.
Flour all over my hands.
Biscuits. Yeah, it's the fun.
Oh, I worked so hard today.
And then I'm just going to spoon the berry mixture into these little ramekins. And you can choose whatever berry combination you like. If you have strawberries or blueberries or raspberries or a combination of all, do it.
We happen to always, this time of year in this area, have a plethora of blackberries around. They grow wild here. You can see people just on the streets picking them.
Yep.
I happen to have them in my backyard. So blackberries are a go-to for us.
I'm going to use some of the scrap that was made when you were cutting and just really lightly make a little disc, or you can make balls and drop them on. Top your berries, and with the same hot oven, you don't need to adjust the temperature at all. It's at 450. We're going to bake these, and they'll be done in about 10 minutes or so. A little personalized cobbler.
So I'm glad you brought that up. There's kind of a battle in the biscuit world. I don't know if you were aware of this. Which is better, the cut biscuits or the drop biscuits? Do you know there was a controversy?
I didn't know.
There is. I like either one. Biscuits are good no matter what form they are.
Agreed.
So
Yeah, I'm not going to raise my dukes over that discussion.
No, everybody's a winner in the biscuit war.
Yes.
But the nice thing about the cut ones is when you break them open for your butter or your honey or your sandwich, say with a fried green tomato and a piece of country ham, I'm just speculating here what it might be for lunch, you can break them open and it's beautiful and warm. And with the drop biscuits, they're more freeform. They're a drop biscuit, so they're more freeform.
You're not going to get that nice clean
Right.
break when
So,
you
if you're going to do a sandwich or fill it with something, I would do the cut biscuits. That's my only stance on the whole topic.
I'm going to show you a couple of toppings. We have our butter, of
Yes.
course. It goes very, very well. And sticking on the blackberry train, I have just some simple over-the-counter blackberry jam, which I'm going to make a little bit more nutritious. I'm going to make that blackberry flavor pop. And by doing that, I'm only putting about, I'd say I have a quarter cup of jam, and I'm going to put a teaspoon to a teaspoon and a half of our regular coffee cherry flour. Mix it up. And then do a side-by-side tasting, because I really believe, and I'm going to, you can call me out on this if you disagree, but tell me that this doesn't make those blackberries sweeter, more delicious, more flavorful.
Absolutely. We talk a lot about pairing with coffee flour, the flavors that pair with it. And right from the beginning, we have always known that blackberries pair really well. And it does make them sweeter and juicier and more blackberry flavored, if that's possible.
So instead of just smearing a sugared berry, you now have, again, and I talk about this a lot, increase the nutrition. There's your blackberry jam. Another option that you have is we have a company called African Bronze Honey who's already experimented with our product. They made this product called the Bronzy. They're similar to coffee cherry flour in that they are B Corp certified, which you should definitely check out online if you're not familiar with that process. But I have some of the African Bronze Honey, and this is coming from Zambia. It's part of a nonprofit here. I'm going to read a little bit on camera, but it says here, and I love this, that the African Bronze Honey in Zambia has partnered with Gourmet Express, which is, where is it? I was just reading it. Gourmet Express is a social nonprofit catering service helping people reintegrate into the labor market. So
I'm impressed you could read that glasses.
So a really good company that we'd love for you to, to support. But I'm going to just take some of their honey and again, add some coffee flour.
And before you do that, I want to show the beautiful dark color on this honey. I know we don't have Susie here to zoom in, but it is a really, it's not your typical light amber honey. It is a really dark, beautiful, just really rich honey.
Yes.
It has a really great flavor to it.
So you can feel good and enjoy the flavor all
Yeah.
in one. But with any honey, African grown honey, but any honey that you have, you can, again, add some coffee cherry flour. This time I put in about almost a tablespoon, and I have about a half a cup of honey. And then I didn't grab another spoon, so I'll just use this. And then stir it up. It's gonna make it a little bit thicker, but that may mean it'll be less of a mess on your fingers.
That's really pretty.
Isn't that pretty?
And we
I'm
really
making a mess
just,
mixing, but
I mean, now the day's complete. And as Chelsea was saying about African bronze honey is, and their foundation and the things that they believe in, their values line up with ours in doing good for the planet and doing good for the people on here. So I really love their mission.
yes. And
Ooh, look at that.
Isn't
It's
that-
like caramel sauce now?
no, isn't that gorgeous?
Yeah.
All right, so let's top one of these biscuits. I'm gonna see
Okay.
how my cobbler's doing.
So I'm super, super excited that we did cobbler as well because, again, it reminds me of my grandma. She had the blackberry bushes outside. That's gorgeous. Had the blackberry bushes in her backyard, and we would spend hours picking them. So this is kind of a
Homage.
grandma day. So I'm gonna throw some butter here on the biscuits because what's a biscuit without butter? It's sad, is what it is. It's beautiful. And I'm not gonna be shy with the butter either, so just bear with me. And then some of the blackberry jam that's been fortified with coffee flour. And as I said, this recipe is on the Facebook page already, has been sitting up there. I hope that you guys have already tried to make these and that you had success with them.
Yep.
Look at that, that looks beautiful.
Oh, it is gorgeous. And I'm gonna
Grab a spoon
I'm
and
gonna
dig
rinse
in.
this one off and absolutely dig into this. I can't wait.
Perfect.
All right.
Okay.
Keep it tall because it's hot.
So here we have a breakfast item or a throughout the day item, and here we have a dessert. Look at
A
that.
dessert that you can feel good about.
Top that off with some vanilla ice cream, and that's a meal.
Or vanilla yogurt.
Or vanilla ice cream, either one. All right, so I'm gonna try to do this delicately. Yep,
So good.
it's so good.
Try these. If you
They're
have
really good.
If you have an idea of something that could be interesting with coffee cherry flour, let us know. It's either our Facebook page or on Instagram, which is Coffee Flour Lab.
Yeah.
Let us know what you'd like to see. If we haven't tried it before, then we would like to. We're always looking for new ideas, but we have quite a nice collection of recipes at this point. And so there's a good chance that we've tried it before, and we'd love to show you.
And if you make these, especially the cobbler, send us pictures.
Yes,
Take a picture, put it up on Instagram, tag us in it. We will give you a big old shout out. Until next time, which is 2 weeks from today. I know typically I say we have no idea what we're going to do. I have some ideas brewing in my head what we're going to do 2 weeks from now.
Do you?
I
I'm
do.
looking forward to hearing about it.
All I'm going to say is chocolate, marshmallows, and graham crackers. I know it's a big mystery now. So until then, everybody go out there, have a fantastic day, make the most of your weekend,
Eat some biscuits.
and eat some biscuits. And I'm going to go sign off.
All right. They're going to have to watch me eat.
Okay.
They're so good. Thanks, everybody. Still on.